the letter?
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll call the December 4th, 2024 Planning Commission special meeting to order. Ms. Rambo, would you call the roll, please?
Jay Castillo.
Here.
Jim Jackson.
Here.
Pete McGorry.
Here.
David Miller.
Here.
Steve Pajali.
Here.
Connor Whalen.
Here.
Mike Zuloff.
Here. Okay, our first item on the agenda is a public hearing, and what I think I'll do is I'll have Mr. Oakes review the application, and then if the applicant wants to come up and speak on the application, fill in any blanks, anything you may want to comment on, and then we'll also open it up for those in favor or anyone against.
Awesome.
Mr. Oakes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first item tonight is a zone map amendment for 1531 through 1535 First Street. The current zoning of this site is GM General Manufacturing. All zoning to east, south, and west are also GM General Manufacturing. The proposed rezone is to change it from GM General Manufacturing to CR Commercial Recreation. The existing use of this site is currently a marina and storage. The proposed use is short-term transient occupancy, RV park, marina, and storage. The site is currently 14.2 acres and has a total building coverage of about 14.7%. This proposal contains 4 parcels. One parcel has a commercial structure and a parking lot. One parcel is undeveloped. One parcel has a marina and dockage. And the last parcel has a commercial structure on it. The applicant is looking at converting part of the site to an RV park with 30 to 50 RV sites. To do so, a zoning change must take place. The current zoning, GM General Manufacturing, does not allow more than single-family residential use in this district. Rezoning applications for zone map amendments are evaluated based on the current and desired land use of the applicant and the broader perspective of whether the zoning change makes sense for the expected future land use of the site and the surrounding parcels. The existing parcels are a block away, which is westerly, from a previous project of similar scope and same ownership as proposed tonight. Staff has determined that rezoning to commercial recreation at 1531 through 1535 First Street is in line with current and predicted development trends. The demand for manufacturing zoning, especially along the waterfront, has declined with increasing demand for waterfront amenities and recreation. The CR Commercial Recreation Zone is more restrictive compared to what is currently permissible and more appropriate for current and future land use of this waterfront property. The Bicentennial Vision Comprehensive Plan outlines a few priorities for the East District, which are recreational and waterfront amenities and accommodation for visitors, and to reclaim and repurpose land and sites for industrial development or commercial development. Staff suggests this rezoning could offer great potential towards increasing quality of life, adding more destinations, and helping to shape Sandusky as a vibrant city. There was no objections from other staff members, and staff recommends the approval of the proposed amendment to the zoning map at 1531 through 1535 First Street, which the parcels are 57-05723.000, parcel 57-00193.000, parcel 57-00193.001, and parcel 57-00193.004 with the following conditions. That's that all applicable permits are obtained through the Building Department, Engineering Department, Division of Planning, and any other applicable agency prior to the appropriate time of construction and operation of the project. And secondly, that the approval of the zone map amendment is contingent on the approval of the similar main use permit application and the site plan review application of 1531 through 1535 First Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oakes. Is there anything that the applicant would like to add? You have to come up and state your name and address for the record.
Kula Lynch with Lake Ridge Investments Limited Partnership, and our address is 5003 Milan Road, Sandusky. As we looked at a potential for changing part of the use of this site, the city staff actually kind of picked up that this was still zoned general manufacturing, kind of asked us why, and I think we've developed the site, and it was never really brought up, I think, mostly because we were building large storage buildings, and we wanted to potentially retain that use just in case the land ever changed from a marina operation. But I think at this point we're so heavily invested in that in that use that it made sense to have the zoning reflect more of what's actually happening at the property, which is the recreation use. So that's why we're here.
Are there any questions from the table? Mr. McGorry?
Thank you. So are these proposed pads for RVs going to be behind the between the marina dockage and the buildings?
Are we onto that part of
Okay.
it yet, or is that the next one? Or, well, I can kind of just explain the process of what we're doing. As you know, I think maybe 2 summers ago, we opened up the Bayfront RV Resort a couple doors down. And what we have found over there is that we have a really high demand for seasonal rentals versus transient. And what we call transient is, the people that come in for a couple days, go to Cedar Point and leave. So what we're seeing is we have people that want to stay all summer, but we're very limited over there. David, how many pads do we have over there? I think 39 pads. So we could probably lease all those out to what I would call like a seasonal rental. And a lot of these people are locals. They're folks that maybe travel to the south for the winter, with their RVs, and then are home in Sandusky for the summertime. A lot of them are actually our marina customers that, again, maybe live on their boat in the summertime and don't want to store their RV. But at Bayfront, we really don't want to create a seasonal park there. We want it to be transient. We want it to be guests that are, whether it's be at Sports Force or, visiting Cedar Point, we want to kind of have that transient. Here at this facility, it's a little bit more protected. It's gated. We have cameras. Not that we don't at the other one, but we feel it would more align with the seasonal dockage that we have. And so that's what we're looking to do at Sunrise. It would be just for seasonal and not transient visitors. So.
But again, the pads are going to be not in the parking lot area.
No. So, well, actually, on the east side of the property, and I will say that we're going to look to phase this because, like anything we do, we want to make sure it works. The east side of the property, maybe a small portion of the parking lot, and when I say
Okay.
small, like maybe one line of parking. But that will really more depend on, again, RVs are big units, and it's going to depend on the traffic pattern, like how we can safely move them in and out. And so I don't necessarily think there will be pads, but that might be part of the traffic movement.
Okay, but not in front of the buildings on the street side?
Not on the street side, no. Everything will be behind our gates.
Okay, thank you.
One comment if I could.
Ms. Blair?
There is a diagram just of the outline of the
Yeah.
general land area on the next application. So this is the rezoning, which will enable them to submit a similar main use application, which we have as the next agenda item, in order to be able to then go draw a site plan, and they'll bring you a site plan back
Right.
for this project.
We didn't want to do a full site plan if this wasn't.
Oh, so this is
Wasn't done before. Do you have any requirements on the size of the RVs?
So it's not necessarily size, it's age. So, do you remember the age? It has to be within like 10 years old, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, we have kind of an age requirement, and then if it's not, then, we have to have some more specifications on it. And we do that, just for environmental concerns, we don't
Sure.
break down and not be removed from the property.
Sure.
So, yeah, we do have some requirements.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? I have
Mr.
a
McGorry?
further question. So I understand what you just said about age, but there's, the chairman had asked, I think, about size, and so they can be all the way from like Greyhound buses, brand new or within 10 years old?
Well, they're limited to the size of the pad that we put in.
Okay.
So, and there's different, and I'm learning a lot more about RVs than I thought I would ever know. But so you have some back-end pads, but then you have some pull-through pads that do allow for larger, and when you have a pull-through pad, and David probably knows a little bit more.
About 45 foot.
Yeah.
Our biggest.
Okay, and then on the smaller side, I mean, you can get to like conversion vans, and they could be brand new, and some of them are on Mercedes chassis.
Yeah, like a Sprinter van.
Yeah, and I noticed that in the second part of the application, it's no tent camping,
Correct.
but with an RV, I guess it would fit in the definition. You could come down to essentially a trailer with a pop-up lid. And I don't know if the city would control any of this, or if you would just control this.
Typically control it, and I think too, again, what we're looking at is, Sunrise is kind of our premier marina, versus some of our other locations, and, we still have, our main business is selling docks, and, we have to make sure that use fits
Sure.
with what we're doing at that marina. Another reason why it made sense to do it here maybe than at some of our other locations was we have, really high-end facilities from the bathhouse. We're actually going to invest a little bit in the pool area and some of our other amenities. So yeah, it really wouldn't make sense for us to, have tent camping or anything of that sort at this facility.
Okay. I mean, I would liken your concept to be not a whole lot different than boats that maybe never leave the dock. So whether the people are coming up on weekends on a boat or coming up in an RV, I think it's a similar use.
Right. We call the boats floating condos.
Yeah.
Because some people never take them out. They just,
Right.
yeah.
Mr. Jackson?
Through me, Mr. Chairman. I'm an RVer, and that 10-year age thing that you just quoted out, there are some $2 and $3 million RVs that are over 10 years old. They would be not allowed in the
But
park?
we do allow them. What we ask is that you send us the specifications.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, because we have hookups and that sort of thing that have to go, obviously, into public utilities. So we're very careful, and we want to make sure that they're compatible with what we have at the facility.
Okay.
Ms. Castillo, do you have a question?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make a statement. With regard to the actual zoning change, I think that it makes sense for the area. I know that area has been a little bit underdeveloped for quite some time, so I think it would be a good use. I do have a question, maybe this is to staff, with regard to public outreach and kind of the neighbors that are across the street from the marina, and any kind of feedback that they had given. I know letters are sent. So was there any public feedback for I know there's not a lot of residential spaces, a lot of residences there, but there are some. So I wondered what they thought about it.
I did not receive any communication.
I did not either, and Mr. Chairman.
Are you a neighbor from the area? Yes. Okay, so maybe if,
I think what we'll do is, once the table's done asking questions, I'll open it up for the public, those in favor and those against, to come up and speak if they want, and then we can hear what somebody might have to say. So are there any other questions? Okay, thank you, Kula. Okay, we will open the public hearing, and anyone that wants to speak in favor of this is welcome to come up to the podium and state their name and address and give us their comments. If not, anyone that would like to speak against it can come up to the podium and give us their comments. Okay. I guess we will close the public hearing and come back to the table. Any comments from around the table?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Zuloff.
I have to agree that this is an appropriate zoning change. I think it's certainly a better use of that land. There was a time when there was a shortage of industrial land with water access for shipping and so forth. That's not what this would be attractive for in this site, and it's certainly attractive for general recreation. So regardless of the use, of the proposed use, I would be in favor of this zoning change.
Thank you, Mr. Zuloff. Any other comments? If not, we'll close the public hearing and move into the adjudication hearing. Mr. Oakes?
We need to take.
I was thinking,
Vote on the first one.
Okay. Is there, it's been moved by Mr. Miller?
Sure.
I'll second it.
Subject to staff
The
conditions.
motion is to what?
To recommend the approval of the rezoning to recreation from general business.
Including staff's comments?
Staff comments.
Yes, with staff comments.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Ms. Rambo, would you take the roll?
Mike Zuloff.
Yes.
Connor Whalen.
Yes.
Steve Pajali.
Yes.
David Miller.
Yes.
Pete McGorry.
Yes.
Jim Jackson.
Yes.
Jake Castile.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move into the adjudication hearing. And Mr. Oaks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there's two parts to this site. This is the second piece. This is the adjudication hearing for the similar main use. What that means is the use that they're requesting is not outright permitted or called out in our zoning code, so therefore the board can decide if it's a similar use. How it's determined is if it's, as an example, has less noise or dust or any type of nuisance compared to something in the code that is outright permitted. So without going through every piece of the site that I presented with the rezoning, that is, in a nutshell, what you're now voting on, is if the use itself, now that the rezone has been recommended by Planning Commission, if the use that they're proposing is now appropriate and similar to what is also permitted at the site.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Typically, is there swearing in?
Yes.
For adjudication hearing?
Correct. There's a
Yeah.
swearing in for anybody that's going to speak on the testimony
Yes.
for or against the project.
So because this is an adjudication hearing, we have to swear in anyone that wants to speak during this hearing. Is there anyone that is,
Does that include the staff too?
Yes, it does include staff.
Typically.
okay, is there anyone that's going to speak? Okay.
Say something.
I
Just in case. Put your
just
hand up.
repeat after me. I solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I do.
All right. So if no one's going to speak from the gallery, I guess we'll come back to the table. Comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Zuloff?
I agree that this is a similar main use and certainly would be a fitting use given the surrounding uses.
Thank you, Mr. Zuloff. Any other comments? Mr. McGorry?
I don't see this proposed usage being a whole lot different than just expanding the docks for more large boats for people to come stay on. So that's in favor of the proposal. Against, I don't see a huge difference between this and a mobile home park, which I personally would feel negative about at that location. And there can be some very nice mobile homes, but I personally don't think that that would be a good location for a mobile home park at this point. Nor would I think the city would want that there. But again, I think it's, even though it's not that far different, it is different. It's more like, these are land yachts, very similar to water yachts, they're just not floating. And it's seasonal and they leave. At least, although maybe some are gonna be stored there over the winter too, with nobody staying in them, just like some of the boats may be stored there over the winter. So I personally am in favor of it, but I see kind of two sides to it. I see a very close, similar situation that I would not be in favor of.
Thank you, Mr. McGorry. Any other comments, questions? Okay, I guess I'll just offer my comments. I think in this type of operation, it's much like, say, somebody that comes and wants to do some rental housing. It all comes down to management and how things are managed. I think that we had approved the operation to the west, and we've had no complaints. Everything seems to be managed well. I think your company will do a good job of managing this project, and I think it fits with what's there. So I'll be a yes vote when we take the vote. So is there a motion to approve this application or this request?
So moved with, subject to the, I guess, conditions on the staff report.
Been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McGorry, any additional discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Oaks.
just for clarification, there will be a site plan brought forward in the coming months, which will be the final piece to our process. So we'll keep you in touch on when that comes through.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Ms. Rambo, would you call the roll, please?
Connor Whalen?
Yes.
Jake Castile?
Yes.
Pete McGorry?
Yes.
Mike Zuloff?
Yes.
Steve Pajali?
Yes.
Jim Jackson?
Yes.
David Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes. Anything else for the good of the order, Ms. Blair? No additional updates from our last meeting a week ago?
No additional updates?
Okay, if not,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Zuloff.
well, we do have a BCC meeting coming up, so, if anyone wants detailed updates, I would invite them to get online or get up early and be here at 7:30 on Thursday and get
Tomorrow morning.
detailed reports.
For those of you not familiar with the jargon, that's Bayfront Corridor Committee, so
What did I say?
BCC.
Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Zuloff. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved, second. Mr. Miller? All right, we'll stand adjourned.
So I wanted to know what the feedback was.
Beer again?
What's he saying?
I'll buy this.